Well, the Eagles finally get some breathing room, at least right now, with the Dallas Cowboys loss to the Detroit Lions. We're going to be talking about Darius Slay because there's a big turn with that news. And Nick Sirianni stated some things that I just don't get. I don't know why he's saying this and why he's making it harder on himself as the head coach for this team. So let's get straight into it all.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Hope everyone is doing well. So, first thing we want to talk about is the Dallas Cowboys, obviously, and where the Eagles stand in the NFC right now, because the Cowboys did lose to the Detroit Lions 44-30. Okay, which makes the Dallas Cowboys, I think, 10th in the league. I think 10th in the NFC. The Eagles are 2 games ahead now, and the Eagles really, realistically, just need to go 3-2. I mean, the rest of the way. You have the Chargers on Monday night. I think you have the Raiders. You have the Washington Commanders twice. You still got to play the Buffalo Bills, second to last game of the season. So, is this doable? Yes, a little bit of breathing room, not much, but just a little tiny bit with Detroit kind of taking care of business there. The chances for the Dallas Cowboys at making the playoffs is like 9% or something like that, because obviously the Eagles can literally give Dallas everything this year if they want, and they control their own destiny right now. And it starts on Monday night. Now we're going to talk about the Darius Slay stuff because we've been talking about it the last few days, and it has taken a turn yet again. All right. Darius Slay gets waived by the Steelers. Darius Slay says, hey, I still want to play football this year. Then the Bills put in a waiver claim. The Eagles put in a waiver claim. Literally a spot or two before the Eagles, the Bills end up getting the waiver claim on Slay. He's going to Buffalo. And then his agent comes out and says that Slay is honored that a first-class organization like the Bills claimed him, but he is going to take some time away from football right now and decide in the next few days if he wants to keep playing. Slay's agent, Drew Rojas, told ESPN he's contemplating on retirement now as soon as he was going to the Bills. To me, when it comes to some of these older players, I just don't get why you would waive a guy at 34, 35. Like, let the guy go into free agency. Let him make his own decisions on joining a team himself. I don't get what the Steelers are trying to do by putting him on a waiver wire. I mean, the Steelers aren't playing fantastic, so he's not really a threat to them. So I don't get what the waiver wire really helped them in the beginning of putting Slay on that. It just makes no sense to me. Because when Slay was waived by the Steelers, and by the next morning, John Clark put out a post saying that there's mutual interest between the Eagles and Slay for Slay to come back to Philadelphia. I think Slay wants to make this his last year, and I think he wants to spend it in Philadelphia, where they have a chance to win a Super Bowl. They have a chance, hopefully, to get into the playoffs and make some noise. And he would be obviously a starter, and he knows where he would be when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles at that CB2 spot, and playing with a lot of players that are still in the building from last year's Super Bowl. So it is a win-win for Darius Slay. And it's a win-win for the Eagles because I feel like we really do need him. Whether it's been one of the worst years for Slay under Pittsburgh, whether it was a scheme change or whether he's starting to decline a little bit now, I'm not really sure. But to give one last push for and to retire an Eagle at some point, to have his last year as an Eagle, I think that's what he wanted. That's what he wants to do. And I'm not really against it. Now, we got some news that is good but bad at the same time, because Jalen Carter, it looks like he will be having some surgery on both of his shoulders. So he was already ruled out for Monday. Shoulder injury for Jalen Carter has been lingering since training camp. It has been hurting him, and he hasn't had a good year. There's a lot of players on this team that have played hurt the entire year, haven't played up to par where they really should be. And Jalen Carter, you need Jalen Carter on the field. The Eagles are pretty much saying, hey, get the surgery now. You'll be back in a few weeks. And then by that time, he'll be ready for the playoffs, and he will be at 100%, because there has been some type of pain tolerance with Jalen Carter, especially that Bears game. He was nowhere to be found. He was either getting pancaked on his ass or he wasn't getting through and being disruptive whatsoever. So to take care of this now, it's probably a safe bet. But this injury report from Thursday doesn't look good, because not only are you going to lose Jalen Carter, you're possibly going to lose Jalen Phillips too, with this light practice from a concussion that he had. So if you lose Phillips and you lose Carter, it's gonna be a tough game without both of those guys. Which means that Jahad Campbell will have more snaps most likely at edge rusher, since now the rotation is not as deep. And at DT, Moro Jomo will have more snaps, which he needs to step up. And he's been having a fantastic year this year. I kind of want to see what our new draft pick and Ty Robinson can do. And maybe, in a rotation, he's very raw right now. And I don't think he's ready to really make any type of big move with himself to get a lot of attention on the field. And with him, might take another year. I don't know, but they're going to have to let him play and just see what he could do in the rotation. Maybe he'll make some plays. Maybe he'll look really good. You never know. But losing those two is definitely going to be a big one if Phillips is actually gone. Now, Nick had his press conference ever since, I think the weekend loss to the Bears. A lot of the vocabulary has been changing in these press conferences where they're a little bit more forward in things that they're saying. Nick kind of talked about, and yes, we've been watching the NFC East, Hard Knocks, and Nick talking about the 23 season where it took them to have a season like that to have a better season in 24. And he almost said the exact same thing at the press conference where the 23 season was a learning curve. It was a season of desperation. They were in this hole. They couldn't get out of it. And, that's the season they ended at 10 wins with the last 6 out of 7 losses at the end of the year, completely choking in the wild card game. But it doesn't excuse the fact that after winning a Super Bowl, you figured that he would learn from his mistakes. And sure, if you didn't bring back Kellen Moore, then there would have to have been some other outside move, a guy coming in next to Nick that has a lot of experience as an offensive coordinator, and that didn't happen. So it's almost as if Nick is making this harder on himself. Nick is making this harder on the team. I don't think the team has given up on Nick. I think we kind of figured that maybe they were starting to revolt against the coaching staff, but after watching some of the stuff that's been coming out behind the scenes, I think they're fully into what they're doing right now. So is this what we're going to have to expect every year? Like every other year is going to be a bad year because Nick is forcefully doing that to us? It sounds stupid, but that's what he's pretty much doing. Like, how do you go from Kellen Moore to like somebody that never? How do you go from Kellen Moore to a fucking guy that has no experience, passing game coordinator for the last 5 fucking years and hasn't even earned this fucking job even close to what he should earn? At least if Nick hired Patul and then hired like some assistants that are really good with play calls and maybe some guys that have some experience that aren't really offensive coordinators around the league but know how to run offenses and help out with game plan, I probably wouldn't have been against that so much. But since Nick forced his philosophy on these players and he's working with a guy that almost is a mirror image of himself, let's be real here, this is the situation we're in, and Nick just made it so much more complicated for this team. A $200 million offense, the players you have offensively, okay, all right, well, you don't have Kenneth Gainwell, you don't have Mekhi Becton. Like, this team is still good without those two, okay? I understand you're dealing with injuries on the offensive line. I understand guys have been in and out of the lineup, and that's affected us really since training camp till now, middle of the season. Guys, I don't know where this is going. Like, I figured after the Bears game, they were done. I mean, they're not done because they still have a chance. Like, they have a chance because their division is that bad. That's why they have a chance. Besides the Cowboys that were 3-5-1, won their last 3 games, and then you gotta look at all the teams in the NFC in the hunt right now. Like, they're 8-4, 8-5. Like, it's very close. The Eagles can take themselves out of like top seeding. I mean, pretty easily, and they've choked it just a little bit out of the first seed and out of the second seed. And now we have to rely on other teams to kind of fumble their way at the end of the year. And the Eagles just have to keep winning. But that's the problem. Do I trust them getting everything back on course? Do I trust them getting points up on the board? I mean, I'm watching the Dallas Lions game last night, and I'm watching the Dallas Cowboys, and I got to say, like, damn, the guy could throw a slant pass. The guy could throw short passes easily to every guy open, every single throw. And with us, like, even on 3rd and 2, we have to take sacks. Blocking has been fucking horrible. The quarterback play hasn't been good. The running back is just not getting anywhere at this point. So there's so much shit going on. It just aggravates me when other offenses around the league make it look so easy and the Eagles make it look so complicated because they just don't get it at this point, 14, 13 weeks later. And it's really annoying. Well, other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. So we talked about, obviously, Darius Slay. Now, he will be on the Speakeasy podcast because he actually went on it last night to record. So they showed a teaser of it. He and Slay is we're going to see if Slay actually signs in Philadelphia pretty soon. It doesn't sound like he's retiring yet. I think he wants to play for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that's the direction he wants to go. We talked about Nick's press conference and, kind of being more forward with us now on like what they're doing and how they're trying to fix things. And they believe they could fix things and become a full form offense like they were last year. Most likely, you're not going to have Jalen Carter on Monday night. No Jalen Phillips. We'll see how it goes by the end of the week, but it's not looking too great. So the offense has to pull their fucking weight for this defense. The defense has just got to deal with what they're dealing with. And that's pretty much it. We're in the middle of the holiday season. Go get your Philly Shakedown podcast merch. Go get a gift for your family member, a friend, anybody that wants some new designs from the Philly Shakedown podcast. And especially if you want to directly support the Philly Shakedown podcast, that is the best way to do it as well. Link in the description for all that great stuff. We have a big sale going on. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day. Make sure you hit the like button. It helps out tremendously. You guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes what up, follows. Peace out, guys. Peace.